Good afternoon. I wanted to communicate to you all, as in these unusual times, we cannot have any quarterly presentations. And I don't think we'll be able to have any for some considerable time. But I still think it's very important that everybody is aware of what's going on, whether you are back at work or at home. This is now the new normal to virtual messaging. It's a bit nervy for me, but this is the way the world is at the moment. I want to talk about the events that have happened, the impact on the business, and the measures we've taken to make sure that the safety and security of all our staff and employees and our customers is the most important thing at this time. Lockdown was announced and we had decided to close all of our operations and sites. Did we panic? I don't think we panicked, but it felt like that sometimes. But we had daily conference calls with the boards so that we could keep in touch with the ever-moving and changing world that we're living in. We then started to look at the impact on the business with cash flows and how we can deliver cash into the business to maintain our stability. The difficult decision to spend but all essential operations was taken, and we had to use the government furlough scheme to help preserve cash. Tough decision not to complete Barking had to be taken. We were due to complete at the end of March. We had additional money lined up with the banks, but I had to decide it was better not to extend our debts at this time and make sure we preserved as much cash in the business as possible so that keeping the money available to pay wages and our suppliers was paramount. I'm pleased to say we renegotiated with the owners of the site, and we now have a new contract in place which takes completion into early next year. We reopened a number of small sites where there were near completed units. This was important, one, to get cash into the business, but also to allow people who were desperate to move into the new homes to be able to do so. The key element has been to carefully manage the cash flow, to make sure that for as long as this lockdown continued, we could continue to pay our bills and make sure that wages and our suppliers have been looked after. During the lockdown period, I'm really pleased to say we managed to achieve 43 handovers, an exceptional effort from all those involved. We also managed to do 77 legal completions, bringing in, again, much more needed revenue into the business and strengthening our financial position. During the lockdown period, up until Wednesday last week, we did take 11 reservations, but obviously that is way below where we'd normally be. There were some completions that have stalled as a result of coronavirus and lockdown. But as we're now starting to go back to work, those are gradually easing and those completions are scheduled over the next week or two. I'm proud to say that all of our people played an incredibly good part in helping in the crisis, but in some ways quite small. Some were making wash bags for scrubs, delivering PPE, voluntary work for the NHS and helping neighbours and relatives. As a business, we were able to donate and deliver 30,000 bottles of water to the Harlow Intensive Care Unit to help them through their lockdown period. And furthermore, we made a donation that we held in stock at Braintree of face masks to the ambulance station just down the road. We took the decision to prepare to open on the 11th of May. You might wonder how we came to that decision, but we were being encouraged by government at the very, very highest levels. This was the right thing to do. And so those preparations, we spent 2 or 3 weeks delivering risk assessments and how could we open and still comply with the social distancing that we were being asked to maintain. Things are going to look very different for quite a considerable period of time. This is the new norm, And whatever we're putting in place now probably will still be in place in 2 years' time. So on site, we have got specific COVID-19 officers who have a brief to ensure that social distancing is maintained, to remind people it's not easy to change habits of a lifetime in 2 or 3 days, and so people do need to be reminded constantly. We've manufactured and installed on site portable wash stations so that they are scattered through the buildings. Where possible on sites, we have one-way systems so that staff and construction workers are not passing up and down staircases. We have one person in a room policy, and workers have masks at all times and should wear them if they are unavoidably within the 2-metre restricted zone. In the office, we've installed a one-way system again. Safe distancing can be maintained. One of the things that we have in abundance in our offices is space. And as you all know, there's another 50,000 square feet of space that will be available to us around the end of July, August time. So we can maintain our self-distancing. The cafe has reopened, but only as a takeaway service. Tea stations are installed with safe markings and distancing. Sanitizer stations are placed significantly around the building. All of the access control doors are now propped open to limit the amount of contact that people need. There is a full-time cleaner during the day to continually go down and wipe down surfaces. We've established a new video conferencing room, which is where I'm sitting at the moment. And as I say, we have no issue on space. So we can maintain self-distancing, and this again is a new norm that will probably be for the next 2 years. In our sales centres, we had hoped to open on the 11th, but on the Prime Minister's communication of the 10th, we felt unsure. That was quickly reinforced to us on the Tuesday that we were to open our sales centres, and because of our predetermined plans, we're able to open them on Wednesday the 14th of May, which was Wednesday last week. The arrangements are much the same as the offices: self-distancing, foot markings, one-way systems. We are encouraging customers to come by appointment only, but we will see people in the offices if they do turn up. And fantastically, since Wednesday last week up until Sunday night, we had taken 10 reservations, which is a very, very encouraging start to how the public are perceiving the new world that we're now going to live in. At Braintree Logistics Centre, we never did close the business, but we had a reduced number of staff to keep self-distancing. All of the signage, one-way systems and PPE are in place. We are working non-stop to secure further supplies of PPE, which we will keep in our warehouse so that we don't get caught out should there be a reoccurrence later on. And at Braintree is where they manufactured all of the portable wash stations that have now gone out to site. In summary, the last months have been unlike anything we've seen before. We have been through recessions and we have had ups and downs in the economy. But this is unprecedented, even against 2008 when the banks around the world crashed. But we will and definitely go through this. And we thank you for bearing with us whilst we get back to as much normality as we can. We've had to make emergency plans in a very fast pace, and they continue to be worked on every day, and things change every day. And it's not been easy. But we do continue to make sure that the business is here, survives, and continues to prosper. But we do believe it is going to take us 2 to 3 years to recover from the situation that has been created by it. We learn to adapt and evolve. I'm expecting, as I say, 2 years of these measures to be around, and we're now planning what the business will look like in the next 3 years. The year end is not going to be anything like one we've seen. We've lost the time we suffered and we cannot get it back. But we will make those financial arrangements and deliver as many homes as we can. This will transmit into our future, and so a number of the handovers and completions will now move into next year. We will continue to monitor and ensure that we have sufficient cash in the business to meet our commitments. We will be cautious about our revenue. We do not want to over-predict and then under-deliver. However, we have done everything we possibly could have done to stable the business. We are still strong. There is a future, but it will not be without its challenges. Further communications will be coming out at the end of May, because I'm sure that those people who are still on furlough will be wondering when they can return to work, and if they are on furlough, what terms and conditions it will be under. We will be making these communications very soon. In the meantime, I wish you well, and can I just stress that the most important thing for the business and everybody is that we still stay safe, social distance, because the worst thing that could happen is a second lockdown to occur. So it's imperative that we all play our part in not letting that happen.